And over here, you can see that we have a homogeneous mass planting. It just means it just has one type of plant in it. And we put in that it's small, 6 to 20 individuals. And we have it in our East Asian section and our East Asian collection. It has the date and time of when we actually captured that feature and my name. And since I'm going to be making some changes to it here today, I'm going to actually put in the update date as today, and my name as the update user. And now anytime someone makes a change to this feature in the future, if they've gone back and changed some attributes or they changed the shape of it based on the plant has grown, then you want to change these attributes every time that something gets done. And that's really all there is to look at this feature. All these attributes seem to be good. But one thing I want to do is the geometry for this is, it's a triangle. It's not a very nice shape, and we think as plants as being more rounded and organic. So to make it look a little bit better on my map, what I can do is actually smooth this out. It'll keep the corners intact where we put our GPS antenna as we collect the data, but it'll kind of round it out a little bit and make it look better. So to do that, go to Customize, Toolbars, and then Advanced Editing. I'm going to take that toolbar and dock it up next to my editor toolbar. And then all the way at the end of this toolbar, there's a Smooth Features tool. So if you click on that and I ask you, how far or would you like the maximum allowable offset to mean? And that means essentially how far can it move the line to smooth it out. So I'm going to go with half a foot here, 6 inches, so that it won't move it too much. It's kind of within our estimated accuracy. Our GPS receiver that we were using gets about 8 inches of accuracy, so it's less than that. So I feel that this is a good number and an acceptable difference in the shape of the feature. So I'll go ahead and hit OK. You see it just smooths that feature out so that it looks a little bit more organic for us. Okay, so the next thing we're going to want to do is actually look at the plant center that's associated with this. And we can get to that in one of two ways. You can expand up at the top here, and under this mass planting, it'll have the plant center associated with it because we put the ID in the mass planting ID field when we were out in the field. So we can select that feature through there. But to really get it to select it so that we can work with it, I'm just going to select nothing here and then select the point itself. And that way we know we just have that plant center. Okay, so in the plant center we have a lot more attribute information to review. So we have our ID filled in. We have the type, our Forber herbaceous. We have an accession number. This time I'm going to fill in the rest of these attributes that I didn't take the time to put in out in the field. So for my personal setup, we use a qualifier to be the same as the plant center ID. If you're using BG Base, you may have to put in the qualifier that you have in BG Base already. And for the genus, let's scroll down. It looks like the scientific name for this plant was Hemerocalis, and with a cultivar of Lady Scarlet. So we're going to want to type that in here. So for the genus, we'll just type in Hemerocalis. Make sure I spelled that right. I did. That's good. And then we don't have a species. Oh, looks like I think I typed that in the wrong field. I'm going to try that again. Hemerocalis. And then for the species, we don't actually have one, but we do have a cultivar. And I'm going to type in Lady Scarlet. Now, cultivar names generally have single quotation marks around them. When we put in the actual cultivar name into the field, I usually leave those quotations out, and that way it makes it a little bit easier to search for things later. Now we don't have a trade name or a description on this plant, but we may have a plant size, but because this is a mass planting, we've entered 0 to denote that it is part of a mass. We have our section name and our collection name filled in. The reference grid name, if we've created a grid for our final maps, or you have a grid set up for your garden, you could enter that information here. The latitude or longitude, if we wanted to calculate these, it's a good thing to generally do it in batch, and I can show you a little bit on how to do that in a minute. We have our survey date and our survey username filled in. That's good. Since I've made some changes to it, I'm going to want to enter the update date. here as being today, and the update username as being myself. And the status of the plant, it's alive. We have it linked to our mass planting through the ID, and we're not using any of these other IDs or other linked features in this particular exercise. We'll just leave those blank. Okay, so now we have our attributes updated. I generally like to have the actual center of the plant and kind of in the dead center of the polygon, so I'll just go ahead and scoot that into the middle here to make it look a little bit more more centered on the actual map. Okay, and I think that pretty much takes care of that polygon. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one here. Now, this one we collected with our laser rangefinder, if you remember. So if we click on this polygon, we'll go through and do the same thing. We're essentially just going to be updating the update date and the update username. And then we're going to want to smooth it out by using the smooth tool. So that's on the end of the advanced editing toolbar. Hit smooth. We'll use 1/2 foot for our maximum allowable offset. It smooths it out nicely. And then we'll go ahead and look at our plant center. And it looks like I just shifted that. So I'm going to undo my error by hitting Edit, Undo Move. And there we go. So now we'll look at our plant center here. And again, I'm going to enter the qualifier to be the same as the plant center ID. Scroll down, see what our scientific name is. This is Hemerocallis Miss Tinkerbell. Such a nice name. Hemerocallis. And the cultivar name will be Miss Tinkerbell. And it's always a good idea to check your spelling on these things. We don't have a trade name or a description. And we do want to enter our update date. It looks like it sometimes takes you back up to the top when you click on these. And then our update username. And make sure we don't have any other information about it. Okay, so that looks good. And now again we can move our plant center to be in the center of the polygon. And that pretty much does it for that. One thing we might want to do is to calculate the lat and long information for those plant centers. So to do that, this one's a little bit tricky. We're going to select the layers thing from the top of the table of contents here. Right click on it and hit Properties. And what we can do is go into the Coordinate System tab and actually change the coordinate system of our map. And what this will do is allow us to calculate lat and long coordinates using some of the built-in tools in ArcMap. So you'll notice that everything's grayed out on here, and the reason for that is because we're editing. So to make it so that we can work with that, we'll go back to our editor menu here and do Stop Edits, and we're going to save our edits. Okay, so now we'll try this again. Right-click on Properties, or the layers. Get Properties, and now we can see we can change things for us. So at the bottom here it says Select a Coordinate System. We're going to go to Predefined Coordinate System, and instead of using a projected coordinate system as we assigned to our geodatabase when we first started working with it, we're going to use a geographic coordinate system, which gives us those lat-long coordinates. So we'll go down to World, and actually I don't want to use World. I want to use North America, and I want to go to use the same datum that we're using for our current projection, which is NAD83. And this will make sure that there's no translation of the coordinates as we convert them. So go ahead and select NAD83 under North America, assuming that you're in North America, and then hit Apply, and then hit OK. And you'll see that things look different on our map. Things are kind of stretched out and moved around, and basically ArcMap is moved everything to align up with the NAD83 world coordinate system. But the difference is here is that now our units, when we work with things, are going to be in decimal degrees, or the typical lat-long coordinate values we're used to seeing. So now to calculate those values, we're going to right-click on Plant Center and hit Open Attribute Table. And now in this table here, we'll see that we have all the records that for our plant centers here. So we have plant center ID 1 and 2, And I just caught a little error here. We didn't assign the accession number for this plant. So if we wanted to change that, under the editor menu, you'd have to start editing. And it says that our feature classes are in a different spatial reference than the map. But that's okay, because we're not going to be working within a geometry at this point. We're not going to be changing the way the shapes look. So that's okay. So we'll go ahead and hit continue. But what we do want to do is change this accession number. So if you click in this field, it'll give us a drop-down list of all those accession numbers that we preloaded into our geodatabase before. And I happen to know that this plant is M02.0003, so I'll select that, and now that'll be assigned. But what we want to do is, and what our main purpose here is to calculate the Latin long. So if we scroll all the way over to the right until we get to our Latin long fields, we can go ahead and right-click on this field here, and it has a Calculate Geometry option. And basically what it does is it lets us coordinate or calculate the values of these points. Now we're working on the latitude field, so we're going to select Y value of point. And then it asks us what coordinate system do we want to use to calculate this. So we could put the coordinates in for our state plane coordinate system we have assigned, but that will just put in a value in feet. That doesn't really mean a lot to most people. But if we use the coordinate system, the data frame that we change things to, it'll have our units in decimal degrees. And now we hit OK, and it gives us a value that we're used to seeing. It's a 38 degrees, and that's the latitude of where these plants are. We right-click on longitude. We can do the same thing, calculate geometry. We'll put in the x value of the point, and we'll use our data frame coordinate system as decimal degrees. Hit OK, and then we have a -121. And what these values are is they're really useful if you're going to share your data with anything. If you're going to upload your data to something like the Plant Collections Project or Global Biodiversity Information Facility, they're going to ask for the coordinates of your plants in Latin long. So these are really handy. Okay, so we're done here. We're going to go ahead and close our table, and then we'll go back and change our coordinate system back to its normal value. And again, because we're still editing, everything's grayed out, so we'll go ahead and stop our editing, save our edits, go back into layers, get the properties, and then we can change our coordinate system back to our normal one. So that is, if you'll recall, it's under projected coordinate system, state plane, nat 83, US feet, and then California zone 2 for Davis. And then we hit OK, say OK to these warnings, and everything will look back to the way that it normally does. Okay.